it really is, because we're just watching, just whilst Nicole has been speaking. I think I've seen maybe 4 strikes come in. You see the flare of light, flare of the explosion and flame, and now that's the aftermath of what you see. Those great big plumes of smoke going up, and as this shot pulls out, we might get to see, it looks like it's pausing just there for now, but oh no, there it goes, coming out again, actually showing the great big plume of black smoke as well, which has been pouring out of that power station as well. Just in the last few minutes, if you're joining us on Al Jazeera, what you're seeing on screen has been the result of what we would assume to be Israeli airstrikes. Just in the last few minutes, 4 of them we have counted coming into Gaza this afternoon. We've got Rosemary Hollis with us in London. She's been with us all day, political scientist, professor of Middle East policy studies at City University. And we thank you for your time, Rosemary. I think it's worth recapping for our viewers and going back to the idea of this potential truce. I've just got a piece of paper here which I've written. The PLO, it's got a tick next to it because they have offered this ceasefire or this truce. However, Hamas and Israel have put 2 crosses there because both sides are rejecting it. It doesn't mean anything, does it? If the PLO is putting something forward, that's great, but it doesn't mean anything if Israel and Hamas are not on board.
Absolutely not. And I think the key one here is Hamas, because all this maneuvering around getting a ceasefire, whether or not Israel has agreed to it, the one that they appeared to agree to near the beginning of the war appeared also to leave out completely Hamas. And unless Hamas is part of the deal, there is going to be no cessation of the rockets, and Israel is dedicated to continuing the war while the rockets go on. Look, the Israeli position on Hamas, as your correspondent in Jerusalem has explained, is mixed. Within the cabinet, you have those who want to completely smash and end the life of Hamas as an organization and certainly as a military operation. And then you have others who have hitherto argued that Hamas serves a purpose. It certainly did for a number of years, insofar as they could then argue that a deal with the other main Palestinian faction, Fatah, and Mahmoud Abbas, the president, who have renounced violence, was no use to Israel, since they couldn't deliver the militants, they couldn't deliver the resistance. Hamas wouldn't go along with that. So up to a point, it has served a purpose for those who don't want to do a deal because they don't want to concede an end to occupation and Palestinian statehood, to say we can't do a deal because we don't have a real significant partner for peace. Those same elements will have been anxious when Fatah and Hamas formed a consensus or unity administration, weak though it was. And throughout this war, it has not been clear whether there is a third position surfacing in the Israeli coalition, which says, let's not only or rely simply on smashing Hamas, let us have a ceasefire which requires it to concede political authority to Fatah in the Gaza Strip. That is an agenda which may be playing out in the background.
Rosemary, just stay there for a second. Just want to pause and take in these pictures again, which we've been watching whilst you've been speaking. In fact, can we just have a little listen? It sounds like you can hear the jets going overhead or the drones. Maybe not, but you can certainly hear the noise that's coming from what would be about 5 or 6 strikes I think we've seen since we've been on air, which is only 23 minutes just now. It's quite a sight to see, actually, when you see that light, as I say, that big flare of an explosion and then the smoke which billows up over Gaza City. It's been going on for so long now. Rosemary Hollis still with us in London as we're talking about the idea of maybe, Rosemary, this stopping, at least for a short amount of time. Tell me if you think it helps or not having the Palestinian Authority or the PLO involved. They seem to think it's helpful, and we've got, as Mustafa Barghouti called, a consensus government between it and Hamas, as he called it. Does it actually help in the long run as far as negotiations go?
Well, this was very much the message of the Palestinian people, that they were sick of the infighting between the 2 leadership factions, and that they thought it destructive of the Palestinian cause. And unity serves the Palestinians better when they take their case to the UN. And in a sense, Hamas was supportive of the Palestinian Authority in taking their case internationally. Now, what they I assume, wish to get out of the current situation is an international involvement in the future administration and rebuilding and security of the Gaza Strip. And the Israelis also look to international involvement to pick up the tab for rebuilding the Gaza Strip, but will want some elements of the international community more involved than others, namely those like Egypt and Saudi Arabia and UAE who are anti-Hamas. So the political game is riddling not only the horrendous military strategy, but also all the politics around these on-again, off-again, maybe not ceasefires.
Rosemary, Mark Regev, the Israeli government spokesman, has told the AP news agency that until Israel hears from Hamas directly, quote, it's not serious. Does that suggest Israel wants to talk to Hamas to sort this out, or again, does that play into what you were telling us before about the divisions within Israel about actually how to deal with Hamas?
I think it does play into it's indicative of the divisions, because it would be a contradiction to the idea that you never deal with terrorists, you just try and kill them.